Andy? Andy, you want to compare the texts? That's great, because I have them right here. I printed them out. I'd be happy to read them, Denise. What do you think? I can read them right now in front of everybody. Thankfully, I have the eyes of a 20-year-old because I did print them out in a very reasonable size font. It's got to be, what, is that like a 14 point, maybe? 12 point font. So I'd be happy to read them without putting on a pair of reading glasses, which I don't need, by the way. What, Denise? Your text messages with me? I mean, those are private. Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 10, Episode 19, The Reunion Part 3. This is where it all ends, guys. Love it or hate it, this was a pretty interesting season. I'm just going to come right out and say, as bad as it was at times, I preferred it to the Lucy Apple Juice season. I thought that was horrendous. I didn't know how they were going to come back from that one. They came back by all piling up on another woman until she broke. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into this episode. We're kind of picking up where we left off at the end of part 2, and Andy presses Denise. What did you say that was worse about Teddy, Denise? Denise, just what I said to her face, that she was a shitster. Honestly, I mean, that's the worst thing I said. Teddy kind of laughs at that. You are the daughter of a famous father. The fact that you brought up at a group dinner on camera is really shitty. Rinna interjects. Brandy brought it up on camera first. Denise. Lisa, be quiet. Rinna. No, I won't. Well, why? Because this has so much to do with you, Rinna? Denise goes, Brandy wasn't at the dinner. And Rinna goes, yeah, but she brought it up on camera first. There's a little debate about that, too, that things might have been filmed out of sequence and that, in fact, she didn't bring it up on camera until after the Rome trip. I don't know if I believe that or I don't believe that, but just putting it out there, there is some question. And then Denise said, Lisa, Brandy said a lot about you and your family, too. Do you want me to say that on camera? Yes, please. I honestly feel like at this point, Denise should just spill it all. I don't know. I don't think anybody deserves any protection at this point. Teddy, like a dog with a bone, says, if you don't have a relationship with her, how do you know all these things? Denise goes, it was the first time I met her. When she knew that I had signed up to do this show, we met, had dinner, and this is when she spilled it all. I believe that. Yeah, that tracks for Brandy. Andy, again, tries to accuse Denise of misrepresenting her relationship with Brandy. And Denise said, I have not. She's an acquaintance. That's it. Well, I'm not sure, but I don't think I have ever seen Andy this ugly before. And I can only assume that the rumors of her negotiating for more money must be true because he has got a chip on his shoulder. He's got it in for Denise, and he can barely remain neutral here. Denise said Brandy called out of the blue, and she asked if she could come with Aaron and I to Kyle's charity event. And Aaron's like, no way, I can't stand her, so I didn't even ask him. Andy. Wait, Aaron said no way, but you didn't even ask him? So everybody's laughing at that, of course. Good job, Andy. The mean girls needed another ally. Am I the only one who understood what she meant? I'm sure she told her husband Brandy was on the phone and she just asked if she could come with us to Kyle's party. And he was like, oh God, no, I hate her. She's just saying she never would have asked Aaron herself. Doesn't mean she didn't tell him and he didn't have a response as if she would have asked. you know? And I think everybody knew that's what she meant, including Andy. But, he's just another person that's trying to have a gotcha moment with Denise. Andy said, Brandy was so specific about that time in your hotel room, Denise. Then we get a flashback to Brandy telling her story in Kyle's bedroom yet again. And we come back and Denise said, she knocked on my door. I let her in as I was grabbing my stuff to leave. Aaron was there the whole time, and I do not have an open marriage. I hate that Denise's story is so paper thin, appears to be changing. I've said this before. I get it. This is like Mama Bear kicking in, wanting to protect her kids from finding out that maybe something happened. And so she's just deny. But it does make it so much worse when your lies aren't great and they're obvious. So it's just like it's painful to watch this part. Kyle. In Rome, if you would have just said what Brandy said about her and I, that's just between us. Let's talk about the stuff she said about you guys. That would have been so much better. It's a pattern of not being honest. That's what the problem is. This kills me because nobody's that honest all the time. And I'm sure they, caught off guard, may have done exactly the same thing. They may have lied a little bit better than Denise, but that just proves that Denise is not good at lying. Let the mouse go. That's how I feel. Let her go. Belaboring this whole thing, making the affair the biggest part of all this. I mean, that really says it all, doesn't it? This isn't about getting to the truth of her saying things behind her back. No, this is about Brandy getting revenge, getting back on the show. I don't know. I did see on Twitter, I don't know if it was on Brandy's podcast or Brandy was on someone else's podcast, but it was a little clip of Brandy saying that by Denise not coming back next season, that really screwed over Brandy's chances for being a housewife next year. She said, Denise effed me again. Well, I still want Brandy to come back on next year because she will turn on Kyle. She will turn on anybody. And I would relish that with how much they backed her just to stick it to Denise. Anyway, Denise said, well, I thought all of that was resolved in Rome. So what happened after that? And Kyle goes, you stopped showing up. And Denise goes, based on what? Like, let's tell everybody why I stopped showing up. You know why. So Sutton interrupts. And for the life of me, I do not know what she's trying to say here. She says, I didn't know Denise at all in 2018, but I did hear a rumor from a person one removed from Brandy that this was going on between them. So either Brandy is lying, and she's always been lying, and Denise goes, I didn't even know Brandy in 2018. Side note, for the record, Brandy isn't even saying anything happened in 2018. She is only claiming that they were together that time when Denise did her podcast. That was the first time something happened. She really couldn't even get into it. So I'm assuming nothing then really happened. Although maybe they made out or something. And the next morning, Denise said, you can't tell Aaron, he'll kill me. Brandy felt betrayed, put in a horrible position, and it never happened again. Even according to Brandy, this was supposedly just a one-time only thing. So what rumors were flying around in 2018 about the two of them that Sutton was talking about? I really have no idea. I wish she would say who told her. So like I said, Denise interrupted and said, I didn't even know her in 2018. And Sutton goes on to say, or she manipulated you and used you. That's all I was going to say. But we want to help you. Okay, first of all, who's we? Because there's a whole lot of people sitting there right now that don't want to help her. And again, Sutton, I love you, but what was the point of bringing this up? Like, it's not clarifying anything, and I don't really know what your point was, and I'm a little bit sorry you said anything. If anything, that's going to make it a little worse for Denise's daughters. I will say this, when Denise interrupted and said, I didn't even know her in 2018, of course Rinna has to shout out, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. Andy now asks Denise about her comment that Brandy's texts have been altered. And Denise said, I believe that my text thread is very different than Brandy's. Yes, absolutely. Then Rinna, I have them right here. Oh, God. She bends over and she pulls up those classic housewife 180-point font text messages. Oh, God. Garcelle, wow. Yes, Garcelle, you're new here. This is how low Rinna will go. Denise, Lisa, you want to go there? Really? Because you better be careful. I can pull up all of your text messages, too. Rinna, are you threatening me? Ooh, are you threatening me, Denise? Denise goes, I'm stating the truth. Kaya goes, I think it's a promise. Andy, Denise, are you willing to show your text messages with Brandy to show that they don't match up with Brandy's? Denise, absolutely. Is Lisa willing to let me show my text messages with her? Rinna, it's not about me. And those are private. Okay, that's got to be the biggest laugh of the night. You guys, I swear, she really said that. Those are private. So yeah, Rinna's like, it's not about me. And Denise said, it's not about me and Brandy either. I know what Denise means. It shouldn't be about her and Brandy. Whatever she and Brandy did or didn't do, that's what everybody claims they don't care about. They only care about what she said about them. Yet, why is this whole thing about whether or not Denise had an affair with Brandy the thing that truly doesn't concern anybody sitting in this Zoom call? So that's why Denise says, it's not about me and Brandy either. Rinna, this whole thing is about Brandy. Is she being muzzled, Denise? Did you send her a cease and desist to shut her up? Andy, so let's talk about that. Of course. No, let's not, Andy. I mean, what are you having Rinna set things up for you now? Garcelle just put her head in her hands, and I'm thinking, oh, I feel you, girl. I'm also thinking to myself, does this look like a woman who wants to come back for a season 2? I'm worried. I'm worried, guys. I'm worried we're not going to get Garcelle to come back. Andy, you sent a cease and desist against production. Denise says, no, the cease and desist was for Brandy to make her tell the truth to all of you. Kyle, is a cease and desist to make somebody tell the truth or to get them to stay quiet? Because, I've been there. I have been on the other end of that. Again, I feel like they're purposely trying to not understand what Denise means. No, the cease and desist isn't to get Brandy to talk. She said it was to get Brandy to tell the truth to you guys. In other words, she wanted to scare Brandy with some legal trouble so that Brandy would finally just come clean. And I think you guys know that's what Denise meant, but you're not going to give her an inch, are you? So now Andy says, Lisa, during your time on the show, has there ever been anything that was off limits? I'm thinking of the Amsterdam thing when Kim Richards brought up Harry Hamlin. And Rinna said, yes, and I've dealt with it. I just about went across the table and strangled her. But because there was no truth to it, I faced her. Okay. So you leapt across the table and almost strangled her. We saw that. And then you took a wine glass and smashed it on the edge of the table because there was no truth to it. Okay. Is anybody buying this? She freaked out when Kim said, don't talk about things you don't want out there. She freaked out and then she's like, don't ever talk about my husband. That's quite a reaction to something there's no truth to. Rinna's like, I faced her at the reunion. I didn't run from it. And Garcelle said, but not everyone's the same, Lisa. Not everyone deals with things the same way. Why do you care? Thank you, Garcelle. Why do you care? That is the question of the night. Rinna said, because we're having to deal with it for the last 6 months. Yes, because you guys are making it a big thing. Do you think you would have to be dealing with it on the show if none of you gave any credence whatsoever to what Brandy said, which is like how you should have reacted to something that came out of Brandy's mouth? Do you really think this would have played out the way it did if Teddy didn't bring it up at the table in Rome while filming was happening? I mean, come on. You're somehow blaming Denise for this? Trust me, Denise didn't want to waste any of your time with it, let alone 6 months. Side note, does anyone know if Erica is attending this reunion? I mean, occasionally we see her, but it could be an animatron. I'm pretty sure it hasn't spoken or blinked. Andy's a real gem this episode. Andy says, Lisa, let's say, and Denise, forgive me, let's say that something did happen between she and Brandy, and maybe she would just be trying to protect her family and her marriage. What would you say to that, Rinna? I thought Rinna had the funniest line earlier when she said that her emails were private. This may actually top that. She says, well, I would think that because we're such good friends, she would come to me and she would say, hey, listen, this happened between me and Brandy, and I would be there for her in a second. Yep, she really said that too. Garcelle gives a what? And then she really starts laughing. Garcelle said, how can she come to you when you attack her every time you see her? Kyle, everyone has to be honest. For a friendship to move forward, there has to be honesty. Oh my God, Kyle, you need to stop with that now. I mean, I'm all for honesty, but I need Kyle to shut up. Andy said, well, Denise is saying that her truth is that she never slept with Brandy, and that is the truth. Denise said, you all want honesty in your friendships, but when I tell you the truth, you think I'm lying. Side note, this is my favorite part of the episode, and it's during a break while they're getting like refreshed, stuff like that. Sutton is sitting in her chair while Garcelle is having some touch-ups with her makeup done. And Sutton says to her, Garcelle, you know what's really sad? Looking at your boobs and then looking at mine. And Garcelle said, you know what? I always keep it real. These are taped to the back of my neck. Sutton goes, I don't have tape. I don't have stuff like that. It was just such a cute exchange. Please let those two come back next year. Oh my God. Erica Girardi's here. We need to talk about her. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but she actually was in Chicago. Yeah. Oh no. She played Roxy Hart on Broadway. You would think she would have mentioned that once or twice. That Erica, she's a modest one. I'm kidding, of course. I mean, that is a big deal. I guess Janet Jackson went to see her and Marc Jacobs. And then Andy asked, how did Tom like it? Well, it seems as though Tom was going to come the last week, but because it closed early for COVID, Tom never got a chance. That's plausible, I guess. But also, I cannot help but remember how defensive she was a few seasons ago during the reunion when she was asked, how did Tom like your memoir? And she told us all that he hasn't read it. And that's not weird. Yeah, it is weird. If I write a memoir one day, I'm going to sit and watch my husband read it. Okay, next we talk about how Garcelle called out Lisa Rinna for stealing Erica's thunder. Every time she talked about Chicago, Rinna had to say, yes, I did it too. Rinna doesn't really think she did that, but of course we had a montage of all the times that she did do it, so, you know. But Rinna's comeback to that is, yeah, well, I was on the plane to go see her in New York, and you weren't. Garcelle, you're right. That has nothing to do with me not supporting her, though, so don't even try it, Rinna. Erica says that she did not feel like Lisa took the shine away from her, and she really appreciated all the advice that Lisa gave her. It was great being able to talk to somebody who had done it before. Teddy, I have to ask a question of Garcelle and Denise. No, you don't. You're all about empowering women, saying that women need to lift each other up and support one another, not be petty. But the second it was about supporting somebody else when you didn't have to because there were no cameras rolling, you weren't there. Garcelle. Denise, do you want to go first or shall I? Denise goes, I'll go. I wasn't invited until the night before. Oh my God. I don't think Teddy knew that because I don't think she would have brought it up. Apparently, the night before, Sutton realized that Denise's name was not on the passenger manifesto. So she called her, and Denise knew nothing about it. I mean, come on. Would she have gone anyway? Doubtful. But Andy goes, I heard it was because you were suing us. Oh, well, that got a chuckle out of the coven. Yep. Real chip on his shoulder. Denise said, not everyone. I sent a cease and desist to Brandy and to Bravo to remove the footage of Brandy saying that because she's not a cast member. And it wasn't true. Garcelle said the reason I didn't go to New York, as much as I texted Erica to wish her well, ask her how it's going, how's rehearsal going, I am deathly afraid of small planes. The second that came out of Garcelle's mouth, I was like, no. They're going to poke all kinds of holes in that. You didn't have to come on a small plane. You didn't have to, you could have come separately on a bigger private jet or, you know, like, I just knew that was going to be a problem. And of course it was. First, it's quickly pointed out that it was a Gulfstream, so it's not like it was some little tiny prop plane. And then the other thing was that Dorit, coming from Mexico, flew commercial. So, of course, Teddy brings up, you could have flown commercial. And then Garcelle goes, well, I couldn't make it anyway. You should have led with that. Rinna, why couldn't you make it, Garcelle? Garcelle said, I had work and I had my kids and my husband wasn't going to take them for me. Erica, so it wasn't the Gulfstream? Yeah, I mean, that wasn't great. Garcelle should have just said, I couldn't make it. But when you start with one excuse and they poke holes in it and then you give another one and, you know, you keep giving excuses until there's nothing they can say back, it doesn't really seem believable. So we come back from a commercial break. Now Andy shifts gears to talk to Denise about the fact that she's back on set with The Bold and the Beautiful, and what is that like? She said, yeah, we have to be 8 feet apart when we do our scenes, and when we're doing close-up shots, we have to do our lines with a mannequin. The love scenes are with significant others or blow-up dolls. Yeah. So she said that the next day was her first love scene with Aaron. They've had a couple like kissing scenes, but this is like the first love scene. Then we get an Aaron montage, and, you know, as you might expect, not great. He is the worst part of Denise because, you know, Denise defends Aaron, and it's a mistake. I understand why she does it. It's just that some of the things that he does are indefensible, and for her to defend it doesn't look good for her. It's kind of a mess. Teddy said that watching it back, I was uncomfortable with the way he spoke to us, but I was also uncomfortable with the way he spoke to you. Then Andy said, yes, we got a lot of viewer mail about Aaron saying that he was going to crush your hand. Denise said, yeah, I mean, I played that back for him and he didn't even remember saying it. He's like, I'm afraid of you. Why would I even say that? Rinna gives a look like, oh, he's afraid of you? And Denise goes, it was a joke. Andy says, ladies, what do you all think? Sutton is the first to say 0 tolerance. 0. Garcelle said, yeah, I saw it on social media first, and I was like, whoa. I was worried. The others wisely kept their mouths shut for the first time. I mean, other than Teddy, who brought it up to begin with. The moments during the break, I swear, are the best part of this reunion. Now we have Dorit. Do you know what I would love? Something to put between my bum and the chainmail. You know, she's wearing that metal dress. It's digging and making holes in my tush. So then somebody off camera hands her, I don't know what it was. It looked like a bunch of papers, but it must have been, I don't know what it was. I thought it must have been soft, but maybe it was just papers. I have no idea. So she stands up and puts it down there, and she sits down and she's like, oh, that makes a world of difference. She looks like she's in ecstasy. The next segment is about fashion. Garcelle said, I have a question for Sutton. Do you know who Fenty is now? Sutton, hell yes. And a new shoe collection came out yesterday. So Garcelle's laughing. Andy says, you got a lot of crap for that, didn't you, Sutton? Geez, Louise, I did. I didn't want to leave my house. Dorit shows us the back of her head, and I told you guys this was completely wasted on a Zoom call. Next, we delve into Lisa and Denise's friendship. Ugh, I just don't even care anymore. I don't think Denise cares. I don't know if Rinna cares, but I don't care if Rinna cares. I don't know how they repair this, but we see a montage of their friendship. I love that while the flashback is playing, you can also see a little square of Denise and a little square of Rinna. Denise is already so checked out, she's scrolling through her phone. She's not even looking at the footage. Andy, Denise, how do you think Lisa Rinna has changed? Denise gives a really long pause. I think I need to eat something before I answer that question. And he goes, wait, what, Denise, we're almost done. Everyone's like, did she leave? Where'd Denise go? Is she gone? She walked off. Denise pops back in. No, listen, I'm done. I have to get up early for work tomorrow. I've got 48 pages. Rinna, if you're so unhappy, Denise, why don't you just do The Bold and the Beautiful and stop doing this show? Oh, okay. You all have been driving her out all season, so now we're just coming right out and asking her to leave the show? That's how this is going down? Denise said, I'm not unhappy. I don't like when a former friend is behaving this way, but I'm not unhappy. I've enjoyed doing this show. Rinna is, okay, Denise. Denise thinks that Lisa Rinna is different on the show and that she turned on her. And Rinna said, I don't turn on people, Denise. You haven't been honest with me. And Denise is like, I have been honest. I feel that you haven't been honest. The turning point for Lisa Rinna was seeing 1.5 years worth of text messages. Yet Denise says that she only saw Brandy 3 times. And Denise said, that's true. Andy helps Rinna out here. You can't reconcile what you saw? Yeah, I can't reconcile it. Denise reminds Rinna that she has said a lot about Brandy herself. Rinna admits that she doesn't I don't like Brandy. No, I don't think anybody thinks I like Brandy. But I have been nice to her because she came on the show to tell her story. What? Why did she come on the show to tell her story? She's not a housewife. And why does that give you a reason to be nice to her? It's like that very flimsy excuse that Kyle gave as the reason why she likes Brandy now. Because she saw Brandy crying about her children or something on an Instagram post. And it made Kyle cry. And so now Kyle likes Brandy. You know, no, you guys can't figure out a way for all of us to reconcile why you guys are on Brandy's side after all the crap Brandy has pulled on you. We are not as dumb as you think, housewives. But the idea that, Brandy had to come on the show to tell her story, no, she didn't. She could have told her story to a friend. She could have told her story to her therapist. If she wanted to be public about it, she could have told her story on her own podcast. Lots of options. That didn't involve you all coming down on Denise this season. Rinna said that if she were Denise, she would have called Brandy up and told her off. Why are you saying all this stuff? You're full of it. Denise keeps saying, I don't even know her. Why would I call her? I mean, you don't have to know somebody to call them if they're making your life miserable, but I kind of know what Denise means there. Like, it's not like this is a friendship. She could say whatever she wants and I'm going to ignore her. Andy asks Lisa, if you had it to do all over again, Lisa, would you have given Denise a heads up? Rinna said, I wouldn't have had Denise come on the show at all if I had to do it all over again. How about that? Ooh, so angry, Lisa. That comes in handy more often than you think. Oh. Andy says to Denise and Lisa Rinna, at the end of the season, you two kind of agreed that you thought you could work it out. Did watching the show back cause more trouble for you? Lisa said, we haven't spoken or texted one another in 6 months. You know, I go back to when she was friends with Heather Locklear. Oh, yeah. She went there. She had to get the name out there. I don't think she ever intended to say anything because she knows better and she doesn't want to get sued. But she also is smart enough to know that she didn't have to say anything. She just had to say Heather Locklear, and anyone could Google the story. Denise said, I actually wasn't friends with her, Lisa, and you know that. To bring that up, I mean, she was friends with my ex-husband. Rinna, well, I mean, you called me a bad friend. Andy, I don't understand the Heather Locklear reference. Yes, you do, but nicely played. So Rinna goes, well, she's insinuating I'm a bad friend. Then Andy pushes, okay, so what does that have to do with Heather Locklear? And Rinna goes, just Google it. Dorit wishes that Lisa and Denise could be friends. She has gotten to be very good friends with Lisa after a bad season with her, and they've gotten to be very good friends, and she's come to know Denise well, too. I like you both very much. Andy said to Denise, I remember Lisa pushing to have you on the show. She kept saying, Denise Richards, it's time, Andy. It's time to have her on. And Denise said, so what's changed? Andy goes, I don't know, Lisa. What's changed? It's a 20-year friendship. Where do you go from here? Lisa, I don't know. I just don't know. And Denise is like kind of wiping away tears. A 20-year friendship did not have to be destroyed over Denise lying about an alleged affair between her and Brandi Glanville. Lisa didn't have to get involved at all. Not at all. And they could still have had a good friendship if they ever did. I don't even know if Lisa Rinna knows how to be a good friend. Maybe off camera she does, but definitely not as a castmate on this show. Now we say goodbye to my sweet, sweet Sutton. And then Denise says, I came today to try and resolve things with these women. Some of them just don't seem to want to do that. Andy said, do you want to be friends with them? And Denise said, some of them, yes. He asked Garcelle what was the biggest surprise of her first season on Housewives, and she said that it wasn't scripted, and she laughed. She said, I came with an open heart and ready to make new friends. You know, it's tough when it doesn't work out that way, but I'm sure we'll get to a better place. I'm open. Andy thinks that this group is a testament to the fact that if you work hard at it, you repair a friendship and make it work. He asks Rinna what she would change about this season. Not a damn thing. Nope. Rinna's pretty comfortable with her performance this season. I'm a truth teller, Andy. She said she's sad about where her friendship with Denise is. Andy asks, how does this group move forward from all this? Kyle prattles on about being honest again. She thinks that she and Garcelle can work things out. Garcelle agrees. Dorit said, I've had some very big conflicts with some of the ladies here, and now they are very good friends. I believe you truly can move on if both parties are willing to do so. And they end with a toast. If you have to be in pain, let it be champagne. And she's toast. She's got a Gucci glass with Gucci ice cubes. And that is a wrap on season 10. Oh boy. I don't know, guys. What did you think? I remember when this season started, I was like, oh, it's good. I was loving it. I really was. I thought it was exciting. There was a lot going on and I was into it. And then it became this real one-sided thing again. And I'm just not here for it. I hope that Bravo realizes we don't like that. It makes us, we're all rooting for the underdog, and the underdog seems to be the one that leaves the show. So it's not a great strategy. Yeah, I mean, I hope Bravo will move on from that. So I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for sticking with me through the whole season. It was fun. You guys made it fun for me. I love reading your comments. Please let me know now what you think, either about the whole season or just this final episode here, the reunion part 3. If you liked this particular recap, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. It's been a lot of fun, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.